Let's take a moment to imagine the perfect mid-range phone for 2022. Ready? Go. So while you're pondering over that question, I am going to answer one of the questions that you guys dropped in one of our videos. This came from somebody named Peep Head Mag, and he posted a question on the Narzo 50 Pro unboxing video, and the question goes, "Hi, do you need to wake up screen for the in-display fingerprint reader to work, or could you unlock it without waking the screen?" So very good question. And the answer is yes, you can unlock the Narzo 50 Pro 5G without waking the screen up. It is shown in the video and I am going to be showing it to you right now. So first, let us turn off the screen, and I'm gonna unlock it by using my fingerprint. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section below. We want to be able to grow the channel, so we also appreciate your support. If you could subscribe to us, just seeing those numbers go up would really inspire us and allow us to keep making quality content for you guys out there. Going back to the original question that I threw at the beginning of this video, what is the perfect mid-range phone for 2022, or what is the ideal mid-range smartphone for 2022? Is this a 4G phone or does it support 5G? What is the screen like? What is the size? Is it foldable? Does it have a stylus? What operating system does it run? Does it have a 3.5mm audio jack? Does it have dual stereo speakers? What is the battery life going to be like? And how thin is this phone going to be? Things like that. So the reason I'm asking is because I have been using this phone, the Narzo 50 Pro 5G. It hasn't come out yet. It will be launching on July 14 at 6 p.m. in the Philippines, but it has already been released in other regions such as India. Using this phone, it felt very familiar, and one of the reasons for this is because we've already seen this brand before. It used to be a sub-brand under Realme, and up until recently until they decided that they will no longer be called Realme Narzo. Instead, they will be an independent brand known simply as Narzo. However, if you look at this phone, it follows a specific pattern that has been established in the Realme product line. A lot of the features and functionalities that you will find in the Narzo 50 series has been adopted from way back when they were still with Realme, and that is a very good strategy. Realme has been very successful in the market, and one of the reasons they're so successful is because they are able to bring very good value into the mid-range category. And that's no small feat because the mid-range segment is very, very competitive. You have to cast a very wide net in order to appeal to the greater majority. So once again, let's go back to the question, what is the ideal mid-range phone? And you will see a lot of that in the Narzo 50 series. So what I have here is the Pro version. It offers features that are a step up from the Narzo 50 regular version, which is known simply as the Narzo 50 5G. Starting with the communication capabilities, the Narzo 50 series both come with 5G. It has been 3 or 4 years since the telcos in the Philippines rolled out 5G. And if you ask me, there is absolutely no reason for you not to get a 5G phone in 2022. 5G speeds are exponentially better than 4G. And even if you're not the type who uses data all the time, you at least have a handset with that capability, and you can tap into that if the need arises. Now let's talk about the screen. 6.5 inches has been the standard for mid-rangers for a while now. And the thing about the Narzo 50 series is that both the base and the Pro version come with 90 hertz high refresh rate. This is key because this technology gives you a much smoother and more fluid and snappy user experience. What about cameras? The quality of the images and videos produced by smartphone cameras has also grown, and we haven't really seen any major improvements in the mid-range segment for a while now, because a lot of the camera improvements have a high R&D cost. So usually you see these improvements going into the flagships first. But we imagine that a majority of the users who will be getting a mid-range phone will be using it for casual photography, social media. So anything above 12 megapixels should be enough. And the standard right now is to use a technology called pixel binning, which allows the camera to take advantage of hardware and software capabilities in order to get a higher quality image. And that's how we are able to get cameras with 48 megapixel and above. And that is what we're seeing in the Narzo 50 series. Both the Pro and the standard versions come with 48 megapixel cameras. The only difference is that the Pro version gives you an ultra wide angle lens as well as the macro lens. But how many of you guys actually use the ultra wide and the macro sensor? I personally use the ultra wide sensor a lot, but given the choice, I would prefer a close-up or a zoom lens. So the ideal camera setup for me would be to have your standard wide angle lens as well as one zoom lens, maybe at 2x or 3x, in order to take much clearer pictures at a much closer focal length. The thing about the Narzo 50 series is that the camera software is also extremely good. It runs on the Realme UI 3.0, which we'll talk about in a bit. But basically, the colors, the white balance look very natural. And as a result, a lot of the images that we take are sharp, even if the camera hardware itself doesn't have OIS or optical image stabilization. The amount of noise is kept under control as long as you have decent lighting. So I would say that for the majority of users out there, the camera hardware that you'll be getting in the Narzo 50 series is something that you will be able to appreciate and take full advantage of. Now, let's talk about software. The Narzo 50 series runs on Android 12 with Realme UI 3.0. For now, it seems that we're just sticking with Realme UI. Maybe in the future, it could get rebranded to Narzo UI or something like that. But it is a good thing because Realme UI is a very, very good user interface. And it has been, for a while now, one of my favorite Android customization layers because it really enhances the Android user experience. There's just so many tools and options, and visually it looks clean. It is very accessible. So if we're going to be sticking with Realme UI for the Narzo series, that is well and good. Last but not least, I think it's very important to talk about battery life. Now, there was a time about 2 or 3 years ago when we would be happy to get 7 or 8 hours of screen on time on a smartphone. And with the Narzo 50 Pro, we're able to get on-screen time of 13 and a half hours. That's insane. I would imagine that a majority of the people use their phones for social media, web browsing, video calls, chatting, watching and consuming content on their phones, and that's about it. A small fraction of the population probably use their phones for work and they need to have their mobile data on all the time. And an even smaller fraction of that would use their phones to game all day. But for the really heavy users who might end up draining their phones in the middle of the day, you can always fall back to charging your phone. And what's good about Narzo 50 series is that it charges at 33 watts, which I would say is kind of the sweet spot as far as fast charging goes right now. You can charge up to 50% of the phone in just 30 minutes. So let's review. The ideal mid-range phone for 2022 must have 5G. It must have high refresh rate display, decent cameras, Android 12, battery life that lasts at least a day. These 5 things that we mentioned are what you should be looking for if you're gonna be investing in a new mid-range phone in 2022. Now, the thing about the Narzo 50 series is that it also offers features that bring additional value in both the standard and the pro version. What am I talking about? I'm talking about stuff like dual stereo speakers, dual SIM support. The Pro takes it even further by offering a Super AMOLED display, under-display fingerprint scanner, high-performing 6nm chipset in the MediaTek Dimensity 920 5G. So the only thing that we're trying to say here is that as far as mid-range phones go for 2022, the Narzo 50 series ticks all of those check boxes and then some. Now the big question is, how much is this going to cost? It's still a big secret, and Narzo Philippines hasn't even given us a single hint. Based on the launch that happened earlier in India, if we convert the prices, then the standard version is going to cost you around 11,000 pesos, while the pro version would cost you around 15,000 pesos. Is that a good price? Maybe. Based on the information that we got from our friends over at Narzo Philippines, this is definitely going to be a value-driven product. So who knows? They might surprise us and the standard version might end up being priced below 10,000 pesos, which would be insane. The pro version, I am hoping that they can price it below around 12,000 pesos, because if they do, it would be a very competitive product that would be a contender, I would say, for the best mid-range phone for 2022. Now I'll leave you with this question. What are the features that you look for from a mid-range phone in 2022? Is there any feature that you would like to see adopted from the flagships onto the mid-range segment? Does a mid-range phone need an under-display fingerprint scanner? Does it need wireless charging? Does it have to be waterproof? Do the cameras have OIS? Anything else that you can think of? I'm looking forward to hearing from you and reading your comments. This has been Kuya Den for Tech Kuya. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Paalam!